Welcome, good afternoon, or possibly good morning. Welcome to this webinar about Teams as a platform, right? We're trying to do things with Teams that we've not done before. My name is Jos Verlinde. I'm a technical architect working with partners, so partner technical architect, mostly working in modern workplace, right? And that's what we'll be spending our afternoon in. So looking at what is this modern workplace thing, right? So yes, we're working with lots of people together with lots of numbers, but what does it actually mean? It means that we're working in slightly different ways than that we're used to do. We used to be sitting just in our desk, right? Today, I'm happy to be in our office, right? For the third time this year. So that's a bit of a joy, right? But sometimes working at home isn't all bad, right? But it's definitely changing, right? So what is the reality, right? Oh, well, perhaps sitting in a beanbag working, right? Perhaps it means that we're working more with, or looking more for information, right? Or trolling more for information, searching through emails. Oh, no, we're not searching through emails, right? We're searching through Teams messages, finding the correct action for the message, right? How can we optimize that? Not that we can do more work, but perhaps so that we have a little bit more work, don't need to spend the evenings catching up, right? And have just being productive, right? In an easy and well-suited workplace, where we can use the tools that you already have to integrate with the business processes so that we can make our businesses work and hum and do what we want, combining the applications, connecting them, automate the things that we do often, right? So that I can use my time better, or that I don't forget to log that business call, right? And then later on, someone else can follow up on it without me needing to remember it. And by making use of all the application that you already have, right? And yes, we know that, well, we hope that you love Microsoft applications, but we also know that it's not just Microsoft applications, right? There's a lot of other applications in the ecosystem. And yes, we think, or at least I believe, that communication is very basic, right? Both in personal relationships, but also in business relationship, right? And communication and collaboration go hand in hand, right? And that's what we'll be spending some time about today, right? And we have great tools for that, right? But it's not just about the tools, right? How do you go about that, right? So joined with me today are two people from two different companies working together that can explain a lot about that. So can I hand over the baton to you, Patrick?
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, and everybody, welcome to the webinar. Thank you for the introductions, Jos. And to introduce myself, I'm Patrick Scherbijn from Ask Roger, and Ask Roger is a partner in the Netherlands who started as a telecommunications and a video communications company. So we supplied hybrid meeting room solutions and company phone systems. We started in 2007, and today we serve about between 400 and 500 customers, mainly in the Benelux, in Western Europe. But if the company has a head office in the Benelux and they also have other sites over the rest of the world, we also tend to manage and support those and roll out solutions there. So sometimes we go global. Yeah.
Think local, act global.
Exactly. Yeah, right. So that is what we do. That's where we come from. And I think to give a little introduction to the colleague of Roger 365, Fabian, who's sitting right in front of me, is that we started as a communications company, and we provided telephony phone systems for companies and also contact center solutions for customer engagement scenarios. And we saw a few years back that within customer engagement, we see more and more applications where multiple channels are integrated into one stream of messages from a customer. And you receive, a customer tends to start with a web chat message, then maybe goes over to a bot session, then isn't satisfied and calls you. And those are three different communication moments. And for the customers, this is one story. And what we saw in companies that there were 3 departments involved with those types of communication, and they didn't know from each other that. So a lot of frustration happening there. So that was the start where contact center solutions integrated it into one communication stream where one service agent really handles all those types of communication. Well, that I'm talking now about 2015, 2016, and then in 2018, when we came back from Inspire, we saw the Teams application, we saw the opportunity, and Microsoft unveiled their big plans with Teams. We didn't know it would be that big of an application these days, but we were thinking this is going to be a big and is probably going to be a revolution on the workforce. And then we thought, well, we are used to customer engagement scenarios where we have this contact center solution where you integrate all these channels, but in normal workplace, in a normal workplace environment, business productivity, and a project department, a sales department.
They could benefit from essentially the same.
Yeah, they could benefit from the same. You see a lot of those departments using a lot of different tools, a different phone system, a different collaboration tool, a different tool for maybe WhatsApp or whatever. And we saw an opportunity there to also integrate those types of communication into Teams for business productivity scenarios.
Cool.
So there was in essence the start for us to start developing the Roger365.io platform. We started developing that from within the partner Ask Roger. But last year it is a grown-up solution. It's available in Azure. It has lots of integrations, which we're going to tell you more about in a minute. And we have we have a large number of partners all over the world. And we thought, well, now this is becoming, it's not the baby sister anymore. It has to stand on its own feet. So from the 1st of January, Roger365.io became its own company. And that's where Fabian comes in, because Fabian is, I can hand over the...
The business development manager for Roger365.io. And as Patrick said, we are the baby sister, but let's say the young adult now. that we are ready, we're fit, and we're ready to run. And indeed, we launched the Roger365 platform, let's say 2 years ago approximately. Became our own company this year. My role is business development management, as I said, but at the same time, you must, let's say, we have a little bit different approach than Ask Roger. So we are looking for partner-to-partner approach. So Ask Roger is, let's say, our system integrator for Roger365. And we are, let's say, the ISV, the independent software vendor of as a company. And we, as I said, we work together with Ask Roger in the Netherlands. But we have a global network nowadays with all sorts of other partners. And for those partners that are looking, we're always open for new alliances, of course, because the more partners, the better.
Okay, so you're the software vendor, right, as it were, and you're the system integrator, working hand in hand together, but not exclusively.
Nope.
Your customers can directly approach you, partners can approach you. So all options. All
yes,
good.
all the options are available, and we welcome anybody that likes to work with us.
So Roger365 doesn't have a direct touch with end customers.
Correct.
So always works through partners. So if you're a client and you see today a solution where you think, well, oh, that's interesting, I want to enable that solution in my organization, and you don't want to work with Ask Roger, that is totally no problem. Go to your local dealer or your current IT supplier and say, well, this is a cool product, and can you deliver that? And then they can contact Roger365 or Fabian. And
exactly.
Things will be perfectly fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
All right, so I will do the clicking for you.
Thank you. Well, in essence, what I just already talked about a bit in the introduction, that we see in essence two more or less really different use case scenarios. One is in customer engagement, where you have a sales department with a web chat, customer engagement scenarios where you provide companies or clients with advice. We have a cool reference case with a paint.
Paint manufacturer.
Paint manufacturer, yeah. And they give their clients with a bot integrated into WhatsApp color advice, painting advice. So these types of scenarios are really suitable for this solution. But on the other hand, we see a lot of business productivity scenarios. We see a lot of sales organizations having also not only with their clients but also with partners, WhatsApp conversations, web chat conversations, Facebook conversations about clients, about deals, about stuff that's going on.
So anything, whether it's customers asking you questions, interacting, following up on questions, demands, as well as in a, well, business-to-business partner network scenario.
Yeah.
Okay.
The essence is that what we see is that you really don't want the end users. Also, if it is in a business productivity scenario, we have this cool reference case with a real estate agency which is building houses, and they have these projects, and they work with project managers and the municipality and with all kinds of stakeholders within the project. And they have to switch between applications. They have email, they have Teams, they have sometimes Zoom, a phone system, WhatsApp conversation. And what we in essence are doing is consolidating all these communication into Teams. So you only have one application, and that brings a lot of less stress to the employee. And a big advantage is if you have it in Teams on every device, on every OS.
It's available everywhere.
It's available everywhere. You have one user interface. If you can use Teams for normal collaboration, you can also use this product because it is the Teams interface. It doesn't need have anything else. To go over to maybe we can go over to the next slide, because I'm already telling a bit about what
the challenges.
What I was trying to tell during this slide. But what I said, omnichannel communications incorporated into Teams. It can be SMS, it can be inbound, it can be outbound, WhatsApp, Twitter, web chat, but also calling. One of the features which is really a high demand for at this point of time is that when companies are switching from a normal traditional PBX or another VoIP service to Teams calling, so the PBX replacement in Teams, they say, well, a minimum requirement that I have is that I want to have a CTI pop-up, a CRM pop-up. When a client calls me in Teams, that I see his name and I see his open tickets or his sales.
So you don't just see the number, but you see the business context of that.
You see an actual name and an actual company and stuff like that. So that is what we provide all in Teams. So you have your omni-channel, you have your it works on every device. It's a great way to build a 360-degree client view. From a customer engagement, but also in these business productivity scenarios, it's really cool to see that your colleague also has already had contact with somebody from the local government about the new project, and that he has approved something or
so that whatever. You know that you can go ahead, stop waiting for each other.
And the last thing that I wanted to really point out is that what we see these days, there was a lot of demand for compliance and security. So what we are seeing is that either business productivity or customer engagement, it doesn't matter which business productivity scenario you have for which use case or for which persona. If you have multiple applications, it's hard for IT admins to manage that, to adopt it, but also where is your information? So security and compliance is really a big issue, and if you integrated it all into Teams, you have your everything you have in Teams with user rights, compliance, security, everything is
becomes simpler at least, right? It's still something to care about, right? But I see that.
So and if we are combining all that, we are talking about Teams as a platform solution.
I would say so.
Combining everything you have in Teams.
So
Can you, can you tell what we're actually doing then?
Yeah. I will try to make get some structure here. So as you said, Patrick, there is you see a lot of communication channels nowadays, and more or less the customer demands or the customer dictates what's going on, and customer in as you also mentioned in the broadest sense of the definition, in the way that a customer can be distributor, supplier, it can also be the consumers or B2B or B2C, it can even be an internal customer. So you have large organizations where the internal people are the customer, for example, IT department, human resources, think for any scenario. And what you see is that that the digitization trend that was speeds up now. It goes very fast with the increase of teams and due to the COVID-19 crisis, was already happening when let's say the iPhone was introduced. 10 years ago or so at the personal side. Mm-hmm. So the customer decides how to reach out to the company.
I'm not going to say to all my customers, you must install this application before you can be my customer. Right?
That will never work, because so that's unmanageable. So it doesn't work that way. So you have on one side the omni-channel, the multi-channel. On the other side, as a business, you have the Teams environment where that's your core communication.
So it would be cool if you could combine it.
Yeah,
right? And
exactly.
I guess,
but it's even better because you also have your central CRM system where there's the single truth. Because as also stated before, you want your 360-degree customer view. You want to be able to track and trace. You want to be able to, if I'm in contact with a customer, or Patrick is, or you, or you're also in contact. That should not matter. You should know who you're talking with, and if it's a phone call, WhatsApp, web chat, whatever, you should know that. So that's where Roger 365 is coming along. So Roger 365 integrates all these communication channels into Microsoft Teams. And by doing so, Teams becomes the core communication client within the organization. In other words, you don't need any other client anymore within your organization. So you don't need another application on your desktop or on your phone or whatever. Teams is the place to be. It doesn't matter if someone starts a WhatsApp session or a web chat session or gives you a phone call. It is Teams that you use. And the way it works is I'm using the example now for WhatsApp. Someone sends a WhatsApp message. We can identify based on the profile, the WhatsApp number, the phone number basically, who it is. And that information we grab out of Dynamics, out of the CRM system. So in this case, it's Dynamics, but we do also support Topdesk, Salesforce, and other CRM systems. So you can even at the same time. So if you have Salesforce and you want to migrate to Dynamics, no problem. It keeps on connecting. It keeps on working. So we identify who it is, and we present that information as a card, as an adaptive card in Microsoft Teams. So the person, the agent, so to speak, that is using Teams sees who this person is. Doesn't have to ask any, obvious questions, company name or whatever. So the communication is very seamless and smooth. And it doesn't matter. In this case, it's WhatsApp. But if you start a web chat session, it's still the same thing. So the communication is done, and you using Teams chatting back to web chat or to WhatsApp or Facebook.
So for me as an internal user, no switching between 5 different tools, watching 7 screens at the same time.
It really centralizing, making Teams the core communication client, and then also applying all the rules and regulations that are already in Teams. So Roger 365 does not have any user management at all. So it uses the configuration and the, let's say, Azure AD, the Active Directory configuration, the Teams configuration of Teams that is already exists.
So if I set up a team, the 3 of us are members, then we're done.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. And the nice thing is because it's that way, there's no double user management. There's no gaps between, because that's one of the risks, right?
And fewer mistakes, I would say.
Exactly, and then less trouble with silo IT, and definitely no shadow IT anymore, because all the communication channels now, you don't need any other tools. So that is, let's say, what we call the communication consolidation, or making Teams the central hub. One of the features I like to just address as well is that oh, I'm used to press my laptop. Is what we call Meet Now. So what you can do is, I don't know if you have the same experience as I have, but if I keep on chatting with somebody at a certain stage, you get a lot of confusion about what do I mean. And so it makes a lot of sense, and that's what we call the Meet Now functionality, to set up a Teams meeting with this person you're chatting with.
So, and if we're already using Teams, that's simple.
Exactly.
So how does it work when I'm using WhatsApp?
Well, so you're WhatsApping and I'm using Teams, so
yeah.
You're the customer. Then I click on the Meet Now, open it, and then Teams starts on your phone, and then you set up the Teams meeting with this person.
So in the back end, you guys, or Roger, the application sets up a Teams meeting, shares the links, invites the correct people.
Exactly, and then you're done. So it opens up all sorts of possibility and gets you even more, gives you even more the possibility for the customer engagement and in sales pursuits or whatever productivity scenario you can think of that's very important information.
Yeah, clear.
So what I will do, I'd like to give you a demo on this first scenario. And I will do a couple of demos. But first, I like to start with how WhatsApp integrates via Roger 365 into Microsoft Teams. So to start the demo, I first have to explain that this is my WhatsApp client. So basically, it's my phone, only, let's say, displayed on my desktop. So I am here as a external customer, let's say. I'm a customer, and I have my Teams environment over here, which is, let's say, the internal environment for the company.
Yeah.
And let's say I am, my business is insurance business, and so as a customer, I have driving my car, I ran into, I don't know, into another car, it's icy outside right now, so I have problems with my car. So what I do as a customer, I will say, hello, I have trouble with my car. So I'm sending a WhatsApp message. This WhatsApp message is going into Roger 365. Roger 365 has flows, which we can address also a little bit later, schedules, etc. So this message is then routed to a Microsoft Teams environment, to Microsoft Teams channel. And I will give you a little bit overview of what's happening. So this is my Teams environment. And you see here that it's my WhatsApp profile and my number. And based on the number, we identify this person and show, let's say, a standard card.
Standard information of who, so you identify who it is and present additional information.
Exactly. Because we're routing it to a Teams channel, you can take ownership because multiple people can be member of the same channel. So I can assign this to a person, I can assign it to myself or to somebody else, but as you can imagine for the demo, I will assign it to myself. Here I am. If I do so, by the way, I get an activity alert in my Teams environment. So say, hey, ping, somebody assigned you something, so you can take action, perform action. Here's the Meet Now, as I discussed. And here's the text, hello, I have trouble with my car. So this came directly from WhatsApp. WhatsApp, by the way, is connected via WhatsApp for Business solution providers to Roger 365. So this is all secure with APIs, and there's no risk on phishing or whatever. And now I'm going to reply, and I reply by mentioning the bot, saying, okay, sorry to hear that. What is the issue? So I am mentioning the bot. So then Teams knows I need to deliver it to Roger 365, and Roger 365 knows that we were talking about a WhatsApp session. So you will see here in my WhatsApp client, sorry to hear that, what is the issue? I couldn't make it more simple than
if you know how to send a message, you can send a message to
yeah, exactly. So the adoption is also very easy for an organization because you know already Teams, right? So let's say as I said, I scratched my car. So I made a picture So this is my car, and I can share, for example, my location. I'm using my phone to share this location because that feature is not supported in the WhatsApp client on my desktop.
Right, and I also see the notification that that Patrick just mentioned, right? So you see on the right top hand corner that the notifications come into Teams, right? So for the internal the person, right, you don't need to sit staring at the screen, right? You'll get the notification.
Exactly, exactly. So here's the picture, here's the location where I am. So you can use this information in next actions or whatever, but in this case, it's literally where I am. So I'm here in Amsterdam at the Microsoft building. And you can see here the picture. And again, I can just say, okay, somebody is on the way, right? Somebody is on the way. So because you can use this information, this location, you can trigger other processes, and then use the coordination to send somebody to pick it up.
You can involve a colleague.
You can also, because let's say I'm not an expert in this, I can mention you, Patrick, for example, and I can say, can you check? And while I'm mentioning Patrick, I will show in my WhatsApp that nothing happens because I'm mentioning Patrick, and so we can work together on this case. But the customer that you have standing there next to his car crying, oh, my car is broke. He will only see one of us respond as soon as we mention the bot.
Yeah, makes sense. So you can have the same conversation and be conscious of what you do and don't share with your customer.
Exactly. Of course, if, for example, in cases where there's complex questions, let's take IT support or sales pursuits or whatever, that makes a lot of sense to work together with your colleague, and then somebody will follow up, and it works very well.
I wanted to send you an answer, but I'm in the Microsoft tenant. So security is secure. It's secure. I couldn't
it won't allow you to.
So indeed, and that's a good thing because it is all in Teams, but it's of course in your Teams. Right. And of course, if let's say you're in the Microsoft tenant, I can still invite you as a guest. And then we can work together. So you can take the next step if you would like. But right now.
And the thing you showed with the assignment of the user, you can also assign a department or assign a Power Automate. We are covering that subject a little bit later, but you could also say, well, this is an incident and I want to log this into my ServiceNow
system,
ticketing system, or it is a sales opportunity and I want to log this in Salesforce.
You can go crazy. We'll address that in a sec. But
okay.
Just to make it, let's say the proof of centralizing communication, I have here a web chat session, and this web chat is I logged myself in the portal. So I am in the portal, so it identifies, hey Fabian, please let me know, and then I'll say I have a question.
Yeah, and just to be clear, right? So currently this is showing your portal, but this could be any portal, right? So I could build this into my company's Ethicware, right? So I could build this into the Ethicware portal.
It can also be on your website if you like. So it can be anonymous, but in this case, for my demo, it's nice that I have identified myself, because then I can show you that, again, it's Fabian. Only in this case, I'm identified based on my email.
Okay, so the website knows that your email address because you've registered for that, right? And that is the identifier, if you will, that you pass along and that you use to create that 360 view.
Exactly, because previous demo used my WhatsApp. So let's say I call first, say, hey, I have a question. Then I see that information, somebody picks it up, creates a new ticket. A day later, I send a WhatsApp. What about my ticket? Then it's still the same person, right? So there's no confusion, and then it will show, oh, it's Fabian. And if I start a web chat session, it's still Fabian, right? So there's a single true 360 customer degree view.
Well, what we do on some public websites where a user starts anonymous is that we present a screen where they can fill in their name and their email address, and the user has to cooperate with that. So But if they do that, you also get a 360-degree screen presenter.
Yeah, it might not be strong authentication, right? But if you say you can offer to a user, you want to be anonymous, or if you identify yourself, we might be able to help you a bit better.
Yeah, you can even go as far as enter your ticket number.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So you can also it's a really web chat or web form where you
whatever makes sense for that specific scenario.
Exactly, and that's also, for example, web chat. Once you start a session, you expect immediately conversation. WhatsApp, for example, sure, it's good service if you respond quick, but WhatsApp in general can wait. So you can, based on that as well, route conversation to different channels, look at, use Q&A in a different place or whatever. So you can make it really a part of your organization and improve your connection, improve your touch with your customer.
Okay.
Just to finish this, you see the websites I've been previously, so that's handy. You know, maybe I'm at start a web chat from a service website. It will be nice that I'm not saying, hey, do you want to buy something, right?
Yeah, so it doesn't come from somewhere on the internet, but you know which site, which page someone started out from.
And maybe, you know, maybe from a competitor, right? So you say, hey, maybe we should give this customer a little bit more attention, a little bit more TLC to get him as a customer. But the concept exactly the same. So I said, here you go. So I'm mentioning the bot again, and by mentioning the bot, I'm chatting back. As simple as that.
So on the outside, totally different. On the inside, more or less exactly the same.
Exactly. Yeah. So utilizing or harmonizing, is that the word? To the communication internal, making Teams the core communication client within your organization.
Yeah, consolidate it all in Teams. And the adaptive card that you saw is just an example of how we now designed it for the demo, but it's fully configurable. So you can show whatever information or whatever active buttons or...
And that button can take you to any location or implement an action that makes sense.
You can build any use case there. So the platform that they provide provides all these functionality, and the partner can build whatever they want, or the client themselves can build whatever they want.
Yeah, so that's actually a good point, because if I go to the slide, let me summarize the previous, let's say, benefits of the Roger 55. So Teams, you make really Microsoft Teams as a platform. So it's no longer multiple clients needed. So centralizing communication, easy adoption, right? So everybody who knows Teams can use this. The transparency, compliance, everything is taken care of because it is in Teams. And very important, what we see a lot of most of the customers have reason to buy Roger 55 is they really are, well, they really want to get rid of shadow IT or are really afraid of shadow IT, because what happens if I'm using my personal device, communicating with a customer, I leave the company, or there's an audit, or, you know.
Yeah, perhaps not afraid of the shadow IT, but wanting to avoid the potential mistakes that could be made.
Yeah,
right?
That's better said.
Yeah, well, I think it's the same, but perhaps.
Yeah. So that's what really would see. But what we're always discussing is, okay, what's then the next step? Because this is nice communication consolidation, centralizing communication, making Teams a platform, but you really want to, let's say, boost your productivity, right? You want to add, you want to do things that you only want to do things that are important. If there are repeatable tasks, then you want to
automate them.
Exactly. Let the bot do the work. So that's, let's say, the next step. What you can do with Roger 365 is you can add, for example, Q&A bots. And again, it doesn't matter where the communication starts from. So if it's a web chat, a WhatsApp, a Twitter, a Facebook message, the bot can handle, let's say, the first
the common questions, take the common actions, perhaps even.
Yeah. So you can, so the bot can answer the first. Well, we see results 70 to 80% of the first questions.
Okay.
And only when necessary, you can, let's say, escalate it to somebody at Teams.
Okay.
So there is the bot can You do the Q&A chat, let's say, with the bot, saying, hey, bot, I have a question about my luggage, or I have a question about this product, or you mentioned that painting factory, it's a global painting factory. They have something like what they call color consultation. So they give advice on colors and on paint. So, for example, you want to paint your house and you live in Egypt. It's literally a use case, by the way. So there's a lot of sun, right, and heat, and so what's the best paint and what's the best color? I want to paint my bathroom, what do I do? So the bot can handle all those questions. At the moment, the bot cannot handle them anymore. You can, let's say, escalate them to a real live person, and that person is using Teams.
Okay. I think what is pretty interesting about that use case is that they did a proof of concept, I think at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And within 1 month in one country, in Dubai, they had 650 consultations, and that were okay by the customer. And the bot only was available in WhatsApp. And normally those conversations take about 8 minutes. So 8 minutes, 650 conversations, times the spent for a wage, an hourly wage. So that brings you to €2,500, dollars in savings each month.
Yeah.
And that was one country with an additional proof of concept.
Yeah, it was only one country. So you're talking about an ROI of 300-400%.
Yeah, correct.
That's interesting, I'd say.
Yeah,
and exactly. That's just the bot, because the nice thing is that there are more possibilities as well, like integration with Azure Power Platform or other no-code, low-code platforms, dashboard with Power BI. And if you do that, then you can really take the next step. So what I like to demo is to show you again a WhatsApp environment, and I will and a web chat environment. First, the web chat environment where there's a bot configured, and so this bot is answering the frequently asked questions. Again, I'm identified, and I can ask a question and say, okay, what is Rio? And now the Q&A bot, because by the way, it's all based on Microsoft technology. Yep. So it's very smart, works pretty well. Gives me an answer, and depending on the flow, it gives me alternatives. Or in this case, is this the answer you're looking for? I said no, because I was talking about what is Rio de Janeiro. Because we use Microsoft technology, we don't care actually by making spelling mistakes or whatever, because it really interprets and the intent and really interprets my question. So now it comes, of course, with the answer about Rio de Janeiro. Let's say I'm still not satisfied. I can click on agent.
Or you want more info?
More info, and then again I'm routed to Teams. And now you see something happening is that, of course, the websites are available, but you also see the previous transcript. So you can see what the bot and the person talked about, so you don't have to ask that same stupid question again. Say, so you can immediately start, say, hey, you want more information about Rio de Janeiro, let me help you. Yep. Right, so you know the context, you understand what's going on.
Interesting what you told there about recognizing the intent of the customer. I think what a good thing is, because also one of the questions is about that. It's a solution that's completely built in Microsoft Azure and is integrated with the Power Platform. And you can enroll as a customer yourself. So you can go to the website and you can enroll your organization, and then you can go ahead. 5 to 10 minutes and the environment is ready. But saying that it lives in Azure, we can also incorporate the cognitive services of Azure. So language translation, so talking another language outside Arabic and English on the inside.
Possibly, yeah.
Other
well, the sentiment analytics.
Yeah.
You can see that. I will show in a sec. But sentiment analytics you can do. But you can also grab all the information out of system, put it in Azure database, put Azure Search on top of it. Or what I just going to show you is now a Dynamics integration. So I'm using my WhatsApp client again sending a WhatsApp message and going to my Teams, and you will see in my Teams environment, the beginning is the same. So I'm identified, right? So I see here my Dynamics card. I can open Dynamics, by the way. Again, I can assign it to somebody. So let me assign it to myself, just to make sure nobody else will pick up this chat. And what you, by the way, see again the activity here. And what we now did is we added integration with Power Platform.
Okay.
And integrated that with Dynamics. So what I did here is I'm not only getting let's say the general information about this person, I'm also showing any open opportunities in this case.
So to just make sure that I understand this. So the message comes in, you do the stuff that, well, is normal for you guys, right? You identify it, link it to CRM, and then you added a custom step that takes that information, does some additional processing, and then returns that information in the same context.
Yeah, and that's also why we work with partners, because we give the platform, we give some, some, let's say, standard functionality where you can get the 360-degree customer view, but after that you can go crazy. You can do any type of scenario you would like, because it's an open platform where you can trigger other processes. And in this case, we trigger a new card, and I can click on create opportunity, and then I'm creating an opportunity, grabbing the transcript, so grabbing what is chat, and creating a new ticket in Dynamics. So if I click on that, I'm opening this new opportunity, and I can continue with adding more stuff if I would like, but it's even not per se necessary, because Teams, you can configure it such a way that it can, fill in all the fields, or,
Yeah, in this case, it opens it in a browser, but it could also open it in the Dynamics app within Teams, right?
Whatever.
Based on the configuration, I guess.
Exactly, exactly.
I think this is one of the key features why the productivity and the customer engagement really boosts. It really gives a boost to the productivity and the user experience.
Yeah.
The integration of this type of communication with data.
Yeah.
You don't have to ask, who are you? Did I spell your name right? What's your phone number? I have to manually look it up. Whatever, it's all automated. It gets presented.
And make it simple to do the correct thing.
Yeah. And also one of the things, if you're looking, really diving into, and the problem becomes worse if you have a bigger organization. You're also with one big team, you are supplying or serving that one customer, and that one customer is talking to sales, to service, to logistics, to every department, and then to really serve the customer well, or have a transparent, efficient process within your projects, it's necessary to know what your colleague is doing and have this oversight of what everybody's doing. In customer engagement, we called it the 360 customer view, but in business productivity scenarios, it can be just a project card or whatever. And then normally you see in organizations that they say, well, we are going, everybody of all contact moments, if you WhatsApp or call or email, we're going to make a little note in the CRM system or in the ticketing system or whatever. And then you see that people are so busy and it is too much of a hassle that 3 weeks this goes okay, and then it fades away.
People start to forget things.
Yeah. And what you can do here is just create a Power Automate, which automatically updates your single point of truth.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and what's also, you can also analyze sentiment. So as an example, I'm just going to say I am very angry. Add some emojicons. And what you will see is that the sentiment from it was going quick, by the way. It was green, goes to red. I know it's extreme example, but we analyze, let's say, the in and output, or only the input or the only the output. But you can manage on this, so customer starts happy, and always ends, dissatisfied, not happy. And again, this is all technology that's available in the platform, and we're using ourselves and Azure Sentiment Analytics and things like that.
Yeah, or you could make it more important, right? Route it to a different team, I guess, right?
Yeah,
and the flexibility is another thing that is key.
Oh yeah, I was wondering, right? So, and how? What makes this stick?
Yeah. So this is the admin portal, and I will not go into details. If you're interested, you can always reach out to me. But one key component in this is what we call the dialog handler, the flow chart designer. And let me give you an example.
So this is the way that the configuration is for the WhatsApp to Teams.
Correct. Yeah, for example. Yeah. So you can build your flow yourself. So this is a starting point. So everybody that knows a little bit about flowchart, they understand this. So there's a starting point, wait for input, do sentiment analytics, escalate to Teams, add a chatbot, whatever. And what, for example, you can do is also add a power hook. So say something like, okay, if this happens, then trigger this process. And a power hook is, an external trigger, right? So you can start any process you like.
And Power Hook that calls into Power Automate or to Logic Apps, or what are the options?
All of the above.
Okay.
So just triggering a process, starting an external process. So Roger 55 delivers, let's say, out of the box a lot of functionalities. If that's not enough, you can always trigger another function app, Power Automate, whatever you like.
So then it becomes truly limitless, right? So, and you can also, I guess, if you now save this, it becomes live immediately?
Yeah. So
it's also quick to change things, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we always like to give the example of, the COVID-19. There's that changes, well, not every day, but let's say, unfortunately, not every day.
Every couple of weeks?
Yeah, every couple of weeks. So you hear in the news, or in Holland, you have the press conference, and then they announce new regulations or rules, or anyway. And let's say with one click on this flow, you can adopt the flow, and the morning after you are ready to go. Or actually, at that moment, you can click apply.
Perhaps think a little bit, make sure that everyone agrees.
I think what is good to add is that if you're looking at the enrollment, I once, back in the day, I was an engineer, but these days I don't engineer that much anymore, but I could enroll it. It's just giving your email address, creating an account, enroll it. You have a lot of out-of-the-box functionality. So creating a bot is if you can use Word, you can create a bot. There are templates in it for what you saw with the dialog handler. To build that by hand, you have to be skilled. You have to know. You have to have some skill to create that. But there are also templates available that you say, oh, I have this type of scenario, and just activate a scenario, a WhatsApp to a Teams channel, or a web chat to a Teams channel, or whatever.
Phone integration, pop-up.
Yeah,
right?
but next to those standard things that you can really activate quite soon is that you can have everything customized every wish you could fill in, because everything
start simple, then customize, and take it to fully custom implementation where needed.
You don't need a big bang project. You can take step by step, add more people, and utilize your team's environment in that way, right?
Yeah. So thanks for showing us.
So in a nutshell, maximize productivity, rapid deployment or development and short iteration, and leverage service that you have. So as I said, you not only Teams is your communication client, but you add really other components on top of your communication, making sure that it is safe, integrated, single truth. Well, all those.
So safe and integrated. You mentioned that at the beginning, or I think it was you, Patrick, right? That compliance was important.
Yeah, exactly.
You also mentioned that you have customers, a lot of customers already.
Yeah. Good question, Jos. So indeed, this slide is about compliancy, and as you said, we have many customers, many partners. One of the reasons why they come to us is, let's say, getting rid of the shadow IT and centralization, communication, efficiency, productivity.
Avoiding mistakes from being made.
Exactly.
Information from being stored, shared, mixed with other information.
Exactly. So, but as a platform, we also should follow those same rules, right? So we should make sure that Roger 55 is software as a service, but we are making sure that every customer has their own database. So we make sure there's data separation. We make sure that every data is encrypted. We also have topic separation, so nothing can be mixed. At the same time, it's also important to understand that of course compliance regulations is most of the time about personal identifiable information. And sure, we have personal identifiable information, but we have temporarily processed the data. Best example is, for example, a phone number. We need a phone number to be able to reply, right? Or to whatever, to identify. Once we don't need that data anymore, we anonymize it, or in some cases remove it from the system.
And if you permanently need to store the data, because I think that was one of the questions, right? So there's Azure, right? But there's a loss of Azure. So you can also store it in the customer's Azure environment.
Yeah. We have an open platform where there's APIs, so you can extract all the data you want. It's also configurable. So in other words, it's you really do it. You know, it's not by default that we store everything. You need to enable it, right? So it's not just happening. And then you can always extract the data and put it in your own database or environment, and then you go crazy because it's your data, right? It's not our data. So it's very important that we're compliant by design, so to speak.
And you operate as a SaaS platform. Sometimes you need to handle the data. That's why you are then the data handler.
Yeah.
And for permanent storage, well, depends. Right?
And then most of our customers, it depends a bit on the vertical market, but let's say most customers grab the information themselves because it's very interesting to analyze what's going on and use Power BI or Azure Search or.
But if they have the data in their realm,
that's their.
They are the ownership. They can do that, right?
Yeah.
And they have all the richness.
Yeah.
And also some of the responsibilities then.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a good point.
So that's cool, right?
Yeah.
So surely, right? So that's a lot of great stuff. So how expensive is this to get started?
It's not expensive actually. It's subscription based. And we have a couple of subscriptions, but we start at 225 euros per month per company.
So not per user, per company.
Per company. So we don't care about how many users are using Roger 365. What we measure on is what we call consumption or conversations.
Okay.
Of course, if you take a subscription, there is conversations included. But the reason why we measure on consumption is the more you use it, the higher the benefit, right? So if you have a per user price and you don't use it, then it's a waste of money. Actually, it's even better. You want that your whole organization uses it because it's let's say old school to think that nobody's connected anymore. Everybody in the organization is connected. So you need to give the tools to your employees to be connected, following the regulations, rules of your business, right?
So there's no separate charge per connector, right? There's a base setup fee, more or less, with a base capacity, and I guess all the monitoring tools to make sure that you're within that limit.
Okay. Exactly, and that's also why we have a partner-to-partner approach, because as I showed you the flow, and for Ask Roger is a very good example for that. So we provide the platform. But configuring the flow, sure, you as a customer, you can do it yourself. But if you want to take the next step, right, add productivity, add chatbot, then Ask Roger or one of our other partners in the world can really help you out, because then you really can utilize not only Teams, but also utilize the Roger 365 platform. And then you can see, I think Patrick mentioned at the beginning, a return on investment on 3, 4, whatever, 100%, because you save really a lot of time, money, besides the big benefits that you have by centralizing communications and modernizing your communication towards your customers.
Yeah. So if to summarize this, if you see something and you say, well, I really like this solution in my company, we have more or less two paths. One is you go directly to the Roger365.io page, get a subscription, enroll yourself, and just build.
Yeah.
If you say, well, that's not completely my cup of tea, I want my current partner to support me with that and help me with that, to identify the use cases and build it in the platform, because it's not only Roger 365, but it's also Power Platform, and it's also some other stuff what you can configure depending on the use case. Then go to your local partner and ask them to contact Roger365.io. That's completely a good way to start with. And if your current partner says, well, it's not my cup of tea, but I like it that you approached me, is there another partner who can help me in a co-sell motion with a partner-to-partner motion? Well, for the Netherlands or Benelux, Western Europe, Ask Roger can do this. But normally, Fabian will have a look in the countries themselves, and for instance, if you are a customer who's based in Germany, and you want to go forward with this solution, Fabian will not involve Ask Roger. They will involve one of the German partners.
Correct. Yeah, makes sense.
So.
Yeah, and even better, Germany is then a little bit in the same time zone, but think about customers in the US or in Brazil, or where the language, right, Portuguese or Spanish is the mother tongue instead of English like we talk. So then we connect a partner with our customer, because our business, Roger 365 business, is really partner to partner, and that's also for the partner interesting, because they can sell the platform, they get possibility access to trainings, not for resale version. We do together work about marketing,
technical training,
thanks. And of course they can sell the platform, but they can also additional consultancy where necessary to add.
So back to the beginning, you're the software vendor, right? And exactly. You can work with multiple partners.
It's unbelievable. If you scan this QR code, then you get to an Ask Roger website where there's a recap on everything that we just told you. Also a form, because Patrick was mentioning, reach out to us for. So I think that's the easiest way to follow up. Scan this QR code. Of course, I think on the next slide actually.
Same QR code, right? But
same QR code, but also the LinkedIn QR code from Patrick and myself. So feel free to contact either one of us. It doesn't matter, and our email addresses also are over here. We really love to work together with partners. We want to work together with customers, and having said that, I think
over to Jos.
Jos, you can round it up. Wrap it up.
Thanks very much, Fabian and Patrick. Right, it was a very clear overview, I would say. Learned a lot today. Really, if you want to bring teams to life, right, add functionality, Roger is a perfect example, Roger 365, of how to do that, right? It makes use of the stuff that you already have, connect it to the business, make it functional in everyday life, right, within teams, right, where people are already working. So if you want to get in touch, right, do more, right, so you saw that both Patrick and Fabian shared their details. You can contact them directly. If not, right, contact through me, right, or your regular Microsoft contact. We also share all the recordings and the slides, certainly by tomorrow, right, quite likely already later this evening. So if you want to take another look at your leisure, right, look at the demos, or if you needed to step out for a few minutes, right, the recordings are available, will be made available to all of you, so that should be perfectly fine.
There's one thing, sorry, I forgot to mention. You've talked about recordings, but on the website there's also a lot of videos explaining how it works, and the tutorials and things like that.
Oh, perfect, right? So even more, right? So
more information.
You really need that QR code, so it's good that it's there twice, right? So if you want to stay informed about the rest of Microsoft development, right, go to the blogs. If you want to add even more features that teams already have, right, if you want to make your case for your feature, go to user voice, right, and first search, because someone else might have already done that, and then add your voice, or if it's really true new, right, then add it. if you want to watch this recording, right, or other recordings later, go to tab sessions 2, aka.ms tab sessions 2, and then you can look back, right, to the other 9 sessions that have already been there, ×2, because in both in English and in the Netherlands. We still have a few sessions to go, right? So there are still additional sessions. If you haven't subscribed yet, right, go to tabwebinars_NL or EN for English, and then register. Then there's 2 tomorrow, and there's 1 coming up on Thursday. So we still have some stuff to do, and if it might be of interest to you. So if you like that, then please follow along. That was me. Thanks again, Patrick. Thanks, Fabian.
Thank you.
And a good day to you.